Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Real Estate Talk Show, Home Buying 101 with Sebastian Cordoba, Mr. Clear to Close. Guys, this week I'm very excited because every week we always talk about real estate, but how important is it for you to actually get that right mover in order to get you from that apartment or that current place that you live in and you rent at to that future home that you want to live in for the rest of your life, right? Very important topics this week because yes, I also have a very good friend and a business owner. His name is Jay Sarcione from First Rate Moving. So guys, you guys have to like it, comment, subscribe it, share it, tune in, and let's talk some real estate. All right, guys, so please, without further ado, big round of applause, make some noise for my good friend and business owner, Jay Sarcione from First Rate Moving. Jay, thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you for having me, man. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, man, the pleasure is all mine. I'm super excited, man. I'm very happy. I know there's a lot of good information, important information that we want to give to the community, right? So before we get into all the good stuff, please tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the business? And yeah, let's get to know Jay.
Yeah, no, for sure. So my name's Jay Sarcione. I own First Rate Moving and Storage. Our home office is up in Windham, New Hampshire, but we also have a satellite office in Andover, Mass, as well as another location that we've been real excited about that's been active for a few years down in Naples, Florida. Been in the business since 2012. And started my own business at the end of 2015. So
amazing, and look at you, and I love it because you're someone who's from the community. You're really helping out first-time homeowners, investors, really getting them out of where they're living and getting into their investment or that future home, right? But before we get into the good stuff, I want to start off with a testimonial. Let me start with my own testimonial, Jay, because I was very fortunate to have Jay help my parents when they bought their second home here in Marlboro. So I want to say thank you because you guys were amazing, very reputable. You guys actually took extra care of all the belongings, made sure that everything got from point A to point B safely, and made my parents and my family happy throughout that whole experience. So thank you, Jay. That's great.
Well, thank you, man. We appreciate the business, and that's our whole core business is about the service. We provide top-notch service. Everyone's belongings are treated like they're ours, my crew members. When you're moving and going from one house to another, as you deal with, people get very stressed out. Moving is just one of the 10 aspects that can stress out. For you, someone who's getting a loan, someone's buying a new house. So our goal for each and every move is to let the client know this is what we're going to do. Check on us online. You'll see that what I'm telling you is actually what we're going to do. I'm not just selling you something. And at the end of the day, you'll be glad that you hired a mover with a good reputation because you had no stress with that aspect of your transition.
I love it, Jay. And again, thank you, man. I appreciate it because I know you guys are busy. You guys do all nationwide travel, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are traveling from different. You were telling me earlier you came from where? Sacramento? Or?
Yeah. Last week we had actually. I was on a move myself that went from Sacramento, California, down to right outside Miami, Florida, which was a past client of ours, a family member. And, there's stuff there, that you'll hear about movers, good and bad. But because of things like that, this past client said, you know what, I'll send you guys out there to do it for my family member so I don't have any worries.
Amazing.
We do a lot of, from this area, New England, a lot of people that retire, they go down to Florida, the Carolinas. And I had a couple other crews of my guys went down to the Carolinas last week. So
amazing,
but, yeah.
Amazing. So this is good because let's talk about the moving process, right? And how important it is to hire a good moving company, right? So my first question, because we have a lot of viewers and they've been sending in a couple good questions. The first question that I have is how important is it of hiring that right moving company?
Right. So you have a lot of potential clients out there, in my case, that, we may do this part of it ourselves. We're going to have, our friends are going to help us with the smaller stuff. And all that is completely understood. But what happens for someone a couple days before their move? Is everything finished being packed yet? Is everything that you and the realtors and everyone dealing with done yet? Or are we going to show up and nothing's prepared and it causes chaos? The biggest thing that I recommend when people tell me that, we're going to have all this packed ourselves, or, we plan on having this person help us this day to get that part out of the way, you got to get that done, like you say, because what happens is a lot of stuff's going to come up during that transition that you're having with all the other responsibilities you have. So if you don't get to that stuff, it throws a curveball in for everyone on that day of the move, where the client, the person moving, doesn't need one more ounce of any stress during their transition.
That's right.
So.
And I love it. And you bring a very good point, because throughout the whole transaction of buying a home, buying real estate, it's all about working with the right team, right? So yes, it's important working with a realtor, working with a good lender. That way, and a good mover and a good attorney and a good inspector and a good insurance. There's a lot of people who move and work in that simultaneous transaction. But my point is, it's good when you understand when's the exact time frame of when that closing date's going to be. And then making sure that you're communicating that with the moving company so they're flexible and they know exactly what day you have to reserve that day, right?
Yeah.
Because you're busy. I mean, you got to make sure you have that day blocked out for this client.
Correct.
Right? So very important that everybody's working with the right team, because there has to be communication within all to make sure to make this a successful closing.
Yeah, no,
right?
exactly. I mean, when people start the process of saying, we want to put our house up for sale, we're probably going to sell, the realtor advises them it's going to take 2 months, 3, 6, whatever the case may be. People always ask me, when's the best time to start planning for your move? Well, when you think you're going to move, that's the best time to ask, because at least ahead of time you can start planning, whether you say, we really want a mover because maybe you have someone that thinks they're going to do it on their own or plans to do it on their own. Well, why not ask and see, maybe it's worth it to save ourselves all that extra work,
Yes.
regardless of what it may be. And then also, if you're definitely going to hire a mover, if you start planning right from the start, when you're thinking of selling your house or you just listed it, when you go through and start, vetting your prospects, if you call 1, 2, 3 movers, you have time for them to come in early, meet with them, explain to them what you're doing. They'll give you the cost of their move and the ins and outs of their service. But if you do it ahead of time, it gives you time as well to make your decision. Or do you want to meet other people? Let me see. I'm not in a rush, so let me see if my realtor has worked with these movers before. Like anything, the more time prepared, the better. Doesn't always happen, but that's usually the goal.
That's right.
So.
And I love it because, yes, it's all about, make sure everybody's taking notes, because we're educating and it's making sure that you're prepared, creating a system, strategically going into this, knowing, who you need to reach out to and be prepared, to go through with it. So I love it, Jay. That's a great question. Okay, so it's very important to hire a mover, and a good mover, reputable mover, like you just said, right? But now, next question is why? Why is it important to hire a good mover?
So, when I get asked this question, when people say, some people don't use movers, or, how do I decide on, the importance of it? I could use an example. Let's say we have a local family here in Marlboro. They're moving to another house in Marlboro. The kids are, high school or college age, young, good shape. The kids, the friends are going to help do the move. If you plan and you say, all right, to pay a mover is going to be $3,000, an example number for this move we're talking about.
Random number, yeah.
Exactly. So you say, I don't want to pay $3,000. Well, if you look at it this way, if you hire a professional mover, they come in, they do it all in one day, you have no worries, everything's protected, you do your research before you pick the right guy for you. If you go the other route and, the kids and the friends help you and everything, what if, the kids are moving, dad's big screen TV that just cost them $1,500 and they damage it? Well, there's half the money for the move right there. And the son ain't going to pay for the TV replacement, But when you hire a mover too, you hire someone, that has the experience. You want to make sure they're fully insured. You want to understand what is covered because you're entrusting someone with, physically picking up and carrying everything that you've worked hard to obtain.
Right. I love it. So that's very important. I mean, you're saying, for example, let's say if somebody, is moving the your stuff from point A to point B, something falls, something breaks. If you're working with a good reputable company, that could be covered, or how does it work?
Exactly. So there's a couple different ways that movers insurance works. So it's called the released value, which is comes with any move. So, and then there's also valuation coverage. So how moving companies, how their insurance process works is if you don't purchase insurance with the move, they call that release value is the term they use.
Okay.
And what they do is the moving company insurance reimburses you based on the weight of an item, right? So if this cup, let's just say weighs a pound, and let's just, as an example, the table weighs a pound.
Okay.
And they both had damage, the insurance company reimburses you the same amount for each item, right? So when it comes to that, people say, well, why would I get the valuation coverage, which is the full value coverage? If you guys are good, why would we get the thing? And I tell people like this, if you want to get the valuation coverage, I recommend it. And it's definitely not because I don't have, confidence in my team and all this stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm taking all the stuff that I worked for and, you're driving it a couple towns over or whatever, the little amount that valuation coverage costs on top of your move is going to protect everything that you have.
Okay.
So if you have a table that weighs 50 pounds and it's based on the weight, they're going to give you this much value of what the table cost you. Where if you purchase the valuation coverage where it guarantees you full protection, they're going to replace that with a brand new one.
Amazing. So you're actually, so for example, if you have valuable stuff and one thing weighs the same thing as something that's not as valuable, you're actually going to protect this asset, how valuable this is because you got that insurance.
Exactly, yeah. And they follow the process just like, an auto insurer would or something. If you have a $20,000 car and, someone hits it, you have full coverage, whatever it may be, you get that amount given back to you.
Nice. Interesting.
Valuation coverage is something that a lot of people aren't sure about, don't know about, obviously, because a lot of people don't move all the time, so they don't have experience with that. But also, a lot of renters insurance and homeowners insurance has movers coverage included in it, which a lot of people don't know. So, someone's saying, I'm spending this much on my move, I need to try to cut down here and there for what we had planned for, and things like that. I tell people all the time, before discussing the coverages that we offer and what the moving industry offers as a whole, ask your homeowners or renters insurance if they cover moving, because a lot of times they do. And people don't know about it because it's one of the 50 pages in their renter's agreement that they don't look at, and that's what it is.
It's one of those out of
one of those little prints you got.
One of those out of the 50 pages.
Yeah, exactly. It's page 47.
Page 47. I passed that one. I think. But that's important, man, Jay, and I appreciate that because yes, like we're going over, it's very important to get a reputable mover. It's very important, to get a mover. Why? It's very important. We just went over it. But so let's keep on moving because I have another great question. It's really, yes, it's important. Why? Great. What should we be looking for when we're actually looking for this reputable mover?
No, so exactly. If someone asks me, what are they looking for in terms of, all right, I need to hire a mover. What should I be aware of? What should I gain some knowledge on before making my decision. The first thing I tell people, like anyone else that's having some sort of project done at their house, a construction project, whatever it is, call like 3 people, call 3 companies. That way you get to meet some person from each company. So that's your first impression? Did you vibe with them, get along? Did they seem like straight shooter? They know what they're doing. Another thing is all movers are required to have certain licensing in order to transport your stuff in their vehicle. Whether it's special, Massachusetts has an in-state license, New Hampshire has an in-state license, and then also to go anywhere in the country, you need to have a Department of Transportation license. So there's a lot of movers out there. A lot of them are more start-offs and people that are just starting up. But if you need your stuff covered, it needs to be. You need to have a mover that's fully licensed, insured. And then the number one thing, too, that you need to look for, when people need some sort of work done at their house or whatever, what do? They'll either ask their friends or go on Google. Every company nowadays is on Google. You can find them online. You'll read stuff about them. Did they do this good? If they have a lot of good reviews and one bad review, ask them about it. Hey, what happened? Because then you get to understand the person more, and see if you have that comfort level with them and it's in your price range and you want to go with them for the move. So.
I love it. And I use that for my everyday things. If I'm going out to a resort or going on vacation, look at the reviews.
Exactly.
Same thing if I'm looking for the right, moving company, look at the reviews.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's very important if I'm hiring someone for anything, they have, two real bad reviews on something. It doesn't necessarily mean they're not good, their company's not good, they don't do a good job. If they have 120 good reviews and 2 negative ones, still ask them about it so you can see kind of what happened.
Yeah.
But also, if a company has 100 good reviews and 2 negative reviews, chances are they do a very good job because not many people or less people are likely to go online to vent their happiness, where more people are more likely to vent their frustration.
That's right. That's right. Someone will absolutely quickly go out there and put a bad review. So that speaks volumes. I love that. And that's a great answer, Jay, because we're going over some very important topics, and I think it's very important that, yes, we're always focused on purchasing the home, where are we moving to, but who's taking our belongings, right? Who's going to make sure that our belongings get safely from point A to point B, and make sure that you feel good throughout the whole process,
exactly.
Right? So, moving right along, very important. We know why it's important, what we should be looking for when we're finding that right mover, right? But what actually makes a good mover once we kind of vet them out?
Yeah, so, the big thing is experience, it goes back to the same subject of checking out their reputation, I'm lucky and blessed enough that I've had the same group of guys for, pretty decent amount of time. Yeah. I just onboarded a couple new employees.
Congrats.
But before that, the guy that's been with me the least amount of time is coming up on like 3.5 years.
Wow.
Which in a labor, specified type of work is not the norm, So that's something that I feel speaks volumes when you're hiring someone for this type of service. We're more of a team and a family than a work crew that shows up and clocks in, works with the other guy and clocks out.
I love it. So everybody's going in there with a family vibe to really work together and have a good time and help.
Exactly.
I love it, man. So good stuff, Jay. So, I love it all because, yes, we always, like we're saying, we're talking about looking at the end goal, purchasing that home, getting into that home. But, going over everything that we just spoke about today, Jay, it's very important for you to get a good mover. This is very crucial, important information where you got to make sure you're vetting them out, you're reaching out maybe to your realtor, maybe to your lender or somebody that you're already working with and asking them, hey, who's somebody that I can reach out to? Who's somebody that has a good reputation, has been in the business for years, and is really looking to help, right? Has a good time while they're doing it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one thing that, I always, tell people, don't go with your cheapest option. Really, you don't want to go with your cheapest option on most things that you want to do in life because chances are it's not going to be delivered as good as any of the other options, There are a lot of movers that are, say, in the newer stages starting off where their prices may be lower and they're doing good and they're going to grow and do a great job. You'll find a price at 2, you'll find a price at 10 and 6 and 8, and and that's why you got to go through those couple steps of vetting them. Who are they? Are their employees working, or do they subcontract work out? We don't subcontract anything out because it's one of those, how do you say, there's
Liability or?
Yeah, well, one, it's liability, and two, this is my business, this is my name, my hard work behind it. I want the people who are working and representing First Rate Moving, myself, the company, I need to know these people.
Right.
I need to know that the service they're providing is how it's laid out, how we want it to be. We want to know that everyone, they're a good team player. Those are just some of the important things about it. So
I love it, and then kind of touching quickly on that, you mentioned a really good topic is the cost, right? So how do moving companies in general calculate the cost?
Right. So the two main ways for a local move are some movers will charge you by the hour and other movers will charge you a flat rate price. So a couple things, positives and negatives to both on what you want to look out for. So a mover who charges you by the hour, they'll come over and say, I'm moving all this stuff for you. I'm going to send you 3 guys with a truck. It's going to take them this much time, and this is how much per hour it is. So if you get a mover by the hour, one, you can see that everything you have, and if someone gives you says it's going to be 3 hours, and you're thinking to yourself, how is that even possible with all that stuff? That's a red flag. Or you say, what if it takes 6 or 7? Make sure what their rates are is what they're going to give you, and then when it comes to a mover who provides you with a flat rate, that's what we had switched to about 2.5 years ago. We used to do the billing and do the charging by the hour, but we do it by a flat rate. And when our estimates encompasses, it says we're moving you from A to B. Here's your inventory list of everything we're moving, because when we come out and do the estimate, we take down a very detailed list of everything. And these are the services that are included in our flat rate, whether it comes to taking pieces of furniture, like dismantling a bed, putting it back together, placing everything exactly where the customer wants it at their new home. We make sure we pad and wrap all of the furniture. If you have TVs that we need to box up, the big thing is, check the small print on each type of estimate. And an hourly one, is there a cap on it? If they say, hey, it's going to take 4 hours, and then all of a sudden it's 105 degrees that day, if the guys are going to take 10 hours, are you expected to pay for the 10? Because they underestimated it, and then there was that heat that slowed everyone down. Is there a cap on it, right? And then there's also, if you hire someone to do a flat rate move, and they say, we're going to move you from A to B for this much money, well, what if you have more stuff?
Yeah.
What if you sell stuff? What if on the list the guy wrote down you had 2 beds and 2 couches, but you really had 4, and he says, oh, you didn't show me, I got to charge you more. Pay attention to the estimate, look at it so you're protected, and make sure the mover got everything accurate from when he did his estimate. So everyone's on the same page. Because like you said, if that's all lined up, that's one less thing for them to worry about on the day where they're going. So
Right, no surprises,
Yeah,
no last minute
exactly.
surprises, and at the end of the day, the idea is to make everything more efficient and not cost you more. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, wow, Jay, honestly, man, I appreciate it. That was amazing. I learned a lot more about, honestly, what you do with your amazing company, but, what in general, what movers and what good movers do when they're helping these families get from point A to point B. So, before we let these beautiful listeners and people go, is there any last piece of knowledge or any advice or tip that you want to leave us with? But more importantly, Jay, what's the best way that all these beautiful people can reach out to you, please?
Yeah, so, the best tip I would have is if you're planning a move, besides to give us a call, right, besides that, is just plan ahead of time. You got to plan ahead of time. Things always come up. You have so much to do in the process. Make sure you're prepared ahead of time. These are the 10 things I need to do before I move. Start now. Don't start once someone says, you know, I'm going to buy your house, you agreed to it, and they say, all right, you got 4 weeks to get out. Don't start that, it's too much, you know. But to check us out, you know, the best number to reach us is 800-209-3917, extension 1. Or you could visit us online at www.first-ratemoving.net. Thank you.
Awesome. Jay, thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you,
I
brother.
appreciate
It's
it,
good
brother.
to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I appreciate it. And guys, thank you guys for tuning in this week. I'm sure we learned a lot, so I appreciate it. Please like it, comment, share it, subscribe it, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.